Welcome into another edition of Game Changers, and no, the fellas didn't just ditch me this week. They're actually joining us remotely, both nationally and internationally. We've got Kim Bokamper all the way in Germany joining us. He's right out there with the Dolphins, and of course we've got Steve Goldstein. He's in Detroit following along with the Panthers. Bo, I got to start with you. How is Germany? Are you having fun with the players out there yet?
First, I got to say Guten Tag to you. You know, being here in Germany, we're in Frankfurt, the home of the Frankfurter, so I'm very happy about that. But I haven't seen a Frankfurter yet. It's been a little rainy. We've seen some of the players around. It was a long trip over the pond here. I think I didn't get to see the hockey game. I think we were over Iceland at that point, which is appropriate for the ice, for hockey. But yeah, it's been a little mellow today. You know, I'm coming on fumes. I've got like 2 hours of sleep over the last 2 days, but you know, I'll be all right. I can still throw some shots at both you and my. And by the way, I can't see either one of you, but you know what? You guys have never looked better.
Oh, thanks, Bo. Thanks, Bo. I'm so happy you're a whole other world away. That way you're not here interrupting when we're trying to make TV happen. Now, Goldie, I mean, you've got the dream gig. You're in Detroit, huh? I mean, Detroit's beautiful this time of year, ain't it?
You know, I'm nice to all of our American cities. Bo can rip the cities where he is about Frankfurters and whatever he's doing over there. I love it. And then we go on to Chicago this weekend. Then I'll finally get back home. Dolphins playing on Sunday. So great to be on the road with the Panthers, especially, you know what, these cities, Mike, up north, this time of year, it's actually a good thing. It's only like in the 40s. It's not like 10 degrees and snowing. So all's good.
All right. It's not too bad. But, hey, let's get to the task at hand. A lot to talk about this week. Certainly today with the Dolphins. Obviously, Bo, I'm going to start with you here. Miami Dolphins, they're going to take on the Kansas City Chiefs this week. Everyone's going to look at this as finally an opportunity to maybe beat a good, decent team in the league. How important is this game, and how difficult will it be to get ready for a game internationally on the road with all these distractions? And, oh, by the way, you're lining up against Patrick Mahomes this week.
Well, first of all, I would say that the Chiefs are maybe a little bit more than a decent team that they're playing. And you know, it's funny because there's been all these international games over the last years. The Dolphins, I think this is their third or fourth trip to the continent to play out here. And you've got a game against two of the top 5 teams in the National Football League. This time, a monumental game being played at a soccer stadium here in Frankfurt. And look, the chips are going to fall where they may. And quite frankly, I would have wished I was disappointed at Kansas City. That we couldn't play them in Kansas City. We got to play them out here, but you know we'll do what we need. But look, today the guys were roaming around the town a little bit. They came out Monday. Kansas City now is not coming out until Wednesday or Thursday, so the Dolphins got a little head start on them. Maybe get acclimated. Maybe that'll help a little bit. But you know the fact that they lost last week, Kansas City, and they're coming out here, and you know they're going to be upset. I think it's going to make this game much more difficult for the Dolphins. But at some point, and we've talked about it over the last couple of weeks, at some point you've got to go on the road and beat a very good football team if you want to get a home field advantage in the playoffs. And the opportunity right now is right in front of the Dolphins this Sunday. If they can do it, it would put them right in the prime spot to be at the midway point of the season.
All right, Goldie, so can the Dolphins shake the narrative now in this case if the Dolphins can end up beating the Chiefs that, hey, they can't beat the good teams in the league?
Well, first off, Denver just beat Kansas City pretty handily, and the Dolphins put 70 up on them.
Yep.
New England beat Buffalo, and the Dolphins have swept them. So I know you can't only go by that, but let's not make it every team the Dolphins have played have gotten blown out every week and they stink. And by the way, when the Giants had their quarterback, they almost beat the Bills. They were a play away. Not the Giants rating so good, but you can only play who's on the schedule. Now, it is an opportunity. The facts are the facts, Mike. As you said, you know, they did lose to Buffalo. They did lose to Philadelphia. Two tough places to play. But, you know, Mike McDaniel stays so calm in these situations. And to him, the only real bad part of it is if you don't learn from it and you don't get better. Now, Jalen Ramsey being back helps. Hopefully X gets back and we see these two stud cornerbacks on the field together for the first time. But, yeah, and there's going to be a lot of opportunity. This schedule now is really tough. You know, the Jets have proven to be a good team even without Aaron Rodgers. You got them twice. You got Kansas City, you got Dallas and Baltimore and Buffalo again. So there's going to be plenty of opportunities for this team as we move forward to win those games against good teams. And it's another one this week. And I'll tell you what, Kansas City, you watch them week in, week out, they are not quite the same Chiefs that they have been. They don't dominate, the way they have in past years. I think it's a great opportunity for the Dolphins. I know Mahomes, he's unbelievable, but the weapons around Patrick Mahomes, the Dolphins now have Tyreek. He doesn't have Tyreek anymore. That receiving core is not the best. Kelsey's tough, but I don't think this Chiefs offense, I think this Dolphins defense can make some inroads against them this week.
Bo, I don't think Taylor Swift's going to be at this game, so can you just put the win in the bag for the Dolphins? Travis Kelce's going to be a pretty pedestrian tight end then?
You look at these games and you see great teams like you just take Kansas City losing to the Broncos and the Dolphins putting 70 on them, and then how does that happen? So it's been a little bit of a bizarre year from that standpoint. But look, I think this team they need to focus on this game. I think it's good that they're here early. They kind of got this little sightseeing out of their way. They'll start practicing tomorrow in earnest, and they're going to get down to business. They're going to be serious. And look, I think this team, Javon Holland may come back. That offensive line may get Teron Armstead back. They're starting to get healthy again. You got Jalen Ramsey last week. And so this team is starting to get healthy on the defensive side of the football. Another week, we'll get Achane back maybe and get him playing. And so I like the way this team is coming together. And if they're going to beat Kansas City, I think this week is the week to do it because Kansas City's reeling. They've got some issues over there, and I think the Dolphins are on the ascent while Kansas City's just kind of mired there trying to find out really if they're going to be the type of team they've been over the last couple of years. I think this is a great opportunity for the Dolphins to make a huge step going towards where they want to be ultimately at the end of this season.
All right, Goldie, I got one more question for you specifically because the trade deadline is about 45 minutes from surpassing at this point. The Dolphins haven't made a deal. So let's take a look at it this way because obviously things could change by the time this show airs. But constructed now, as the roster is, do you think the Dolphins have enough to be a Super Bowl contender still?
And it's great, Mike, because you set me up to either be a genius or a dummy.
Yep.
Usually it's the latter, but that's okay. We'll figure it out. I think Chris Greer, to be honest with you, already made his moves. They bring in Claypool, who suddenly seems like this great team guy. He's in blocking packages. We saw what he did the one time they threw him the football. All of a sudden, after getting run out of Pittsburgh and Chicago, this guy looks like the ultimate teammate and is just happy to be here, and he could play a bigger role. And the absolute theft by general manager Chris Greer in the summer, a draft pick in Hunter Long for Jalen Ramsey. You got to be kidding me. So if they could go maybe bolster a little bit on that defensive line, backing up the big three guys, maybe they go and do that. I can understand that. But let's keep in mind, Mike McDaniel's system on offense, Vic Fangio's system on defense, not the easiest to learn. I talked to these players, out in camp, like we're out there during the week, and especially on defense. These guys talk about, Jerome Baker told me this week, he's still getting comfortable. He's getting more comfortable. He's still getting comfortable halfway through a season. So it may not be the easiest, situation for guys to walk into. And the other area, if you turn the clock back a few months, guys, that we would have thought, yeah, maybe they need some help. That offensive line has now gone 10 deep this season, and they're still efficient. They're still functioning well. They've done a great job with the depth, and you have to give Butch Barry, that offensive line coach, a lot of credit as well. It's amazing how many backups they put in there, and for the most part, you don't really notice a difference in performance.
Yeah, Bo, you want to jump in there?
Joe, you're right, Goldie. Butch Barry, he doesn't get any credit for this offensive line. And you're down to your third tackle last week, and he held up pretty well in that whole offensive line. And I've seen him make some adjustments in their blocking scheme, so he deserves a lot of credit. But these guys are playing extremely well. Look, even without Teron Armstead's played 2 games so far, and these guys have played extremely well without him. So much credit to Butch Barry, no doubt about that, Goldie. Good call on that one.
Yeah, and another thing about the depth that people aren't realizing is once Connor Williams comes back, you get a starting guard back because then Liam Eichenberg goes back to his natural position where he started this year. So yes, the injuries, they are getting a little bit healthier, and it kind of really starts this week. We'll see if Teron Armstead does in fact play. All right, guys. get comfortable. It's going to be a little while. We got more show to come. We're going to talk about the Heat. We're going to talk about the Panthers. Much more on Game Changers International, we'll call it, coming up. Welcome back to Game Changers. No, I'm not alone here in the studio. The guys are joining me from abroad. We've got Kim Bokamper out in Germany, and I have to correct myself. Steve Goldstein is actually in Boston. I never know where Goldie's at. He's just in random hotel rooms somewhere. So he's still in.
I have visions of the Motor City.
Yeah, me too. That's where I thought he was at.
A vision of the Motor City running through me, going, oh gosh.
You know what happened?
Boston.
Boston hit the Panthers in the mouth this week, and apparently they couldn't take off yet. So that's where we go. All right, but we'll talk about the Panthers a little later. But let's talk about the Heat first, guys. They're off to a 1-3 start, and you know what? It got us thinking about this in-season tournament, and I've completely flipped my opinion on this. I wasn't really for it. I didn't think players would care now, but as a fan, now I'm like, all right, give me something to watch, because 1-3, if we're not gonna look good this year, at least maybe there's something that we could win. So, Bokamper, I'll start with you, then we'll get Goldie's opinion on this. The in-season tournament in the NBA, are you for it? Are you against it? Are you interested? Are you not?
What? Is this the MLS? You get messy and you got to make up a trophy so you can win the trophy. You squeeze it in the middle of the season. Let's squeeze a couple games out. We'll squeeze it right in there. Give them a trophy and we'll do this. So is that what the NBA is trying to do? Kind of get that little thing going, a little sidebar. How about you do this? The guys that you give a lot of money to, those guys that are making 40, 50, 60 million dollars, how about you have them play 75 games a year? How about that? How about that? That'd be fine. Then you don't need an in-season tournament. You don't need that. You'll see real basketball. But look, I still like where the Heat are. I like the team. You know, I like Jaquez, the kid from UCLA, coming in. We're starting to see the younger guys playing well. And I think as this team moves on, look, there's no shame losing to Milwaukee last night, right? With that basketball team, what they're doing. But I'm still excited about this Heat team. They got a long way to go. And look, even if they got to sneak in that last game of the season to get into the postseason or get into the play-in tournament, I'm fine with that. As long as they get in, as long as they go take another deep run into the playoffs.
Goldie?
Yeah, you know, I'd say that, first of all, the opening night game was a little alarming. You're up by 19 against Detroit at home. That's not a good team. They did win the game. That's all that matters. But, you know, Jimmy Butler and the Heat, I feel like early in the year, and even from the fans, just the vibe, there's a little bit of a letdown. They didn't go and get one of those guys. You know, Tyler Hero was terrific the other night. But, you know, remember, they lost to Boston on the road, and they lost to Milwaukee on the road. Yeah. Those are the top teams. As far as the in-season tournament, I hate to sound like the guy of get off my lawn, but I'm with Bo. Now, it'll be a little bit fun. Those courts, you know, the floor looks pretty cool. But, yeah, it's got that MLS feel. Like I think if you sat Pat Riley down quietly, he's been around this league for 5 decades, has rings on his toes at this point from championships. There's only one trophy that really matters to Pat Riley. But look, the league wants to drum up some interest in December instead of just playing, you know, like if the Heat were playing Charlotte on a Tuesday night in December, not many people would care. Now they might care a little bit. I understand what the NBA is doing, but no, personally, it really doesn't matter to me. Like Bo said, who wins that in-season tournament?
Yeah, I will say this, though. At least it's not adding games to the schedule. Like, it's built into the schedule. Yeah. So at least now, because then I think the players would be like, what are we doing? And you're going to see the load management go up even more. All right, now we did see Damian Lillard, help beat the Heat the other night. His first game as Milwaukee Bucks player, he goes for more than 30 points. He scores 14 points in the final 4 minutes of a game to help clinch a victory over the 76ers. Bokamper, did it just kind of throw that extra nail in the coffin that, Miami Heat, you should have done what you could have to get somebody. I know it's not necessarily all on them. Portland had to play ball there too, but I think it hurts even more for Heat fans that they didn't go out and improve this roster the way some other teams in the East did.
I learned years and years and years ago, don't cry over spilled milk. Don't sit here and lament over the fact that you didn't get Dame Lillard on your basketball team and you're crying every night because, look, he scored 30, he scored 25, and who says he's going to do that? Look, worry about your team. Get this team going. going. Get them. Look, this is what it is. This is what they've got. This is the group they're going to play with unless they make a move before the trading deadline and something happens. But they're going to win or lose with this basketball team. Why doesn't everyone concentrate on just looking at our team getting better from within and working? I think this team is going to get better because you got some young players out there that are getting better, that are proving that they can play at this level. And then you got Tyler Hero, getting him just like Pat Riley said, hey, you're going to have to score a little more than 14 points. How about 20 points a game? Bam, you need to get up to maybe 23, 25 points a game instead of 20 points a game. Keep those rebounds up. So let's try to get better from within and have a better season than we did last year and be better positioned to get to barge into the playoffs instead of limping in and then taking a good run to get into the finals, and this time bringing it home and hanging another banner up in the rafters.
Bo, I can tell you why everyone's upset. It's because they always miss on. They've missed on Durant. They've missed on Bradley Beal. They've missed on Damian Lillard.
Yeah.
But as you said, that's now spilled milk. You can't cry over it. But don't worry. We'll have much more about the Heat all throughout the season. I'm sure this will be something that drags on all year. Thank you, guys. Still to come here on Game Changers, we're going to dive into what's going on with the Florida Panthers. Big hit in that Boston Bruins game. I got to ask Goldie about much more on Game Changers coming up. Welcome back to Game Changers. Kim Bokamper is joining us from on the road across the pond. He is in Frankfurt, Germany. Steve Goldstein is in some random hotel somewhere in the United States. I'm not even going to pretend to guess where he's at because I'm like 1 for 2 so far in this show. I believe he's in Boston outside of Dunkin' Donuts somewhere. Goldie, this is your block here right now. We got to talk about the Panthers. You know, they go into Boston, they grab a 2-0 lead, get punched in the mouth, end up losing in overtime. But did you like at least the way that game started? That, you know what, the Panthers got off to a slow start this season, but they proved they could hang with some of the good teams in this league.
Yeah, you know, Mike, I kind of loved the whole game, to be honest with you. You know, they jumped on Boston. They weren't very good early. The build-up to this game was pretty fascinating. You know, the Panthers pulled off the biggest upset in NHL history last year in the playoffs. Usually you get all the right things said. It's just another game. It's one of 82. But the Bruins coach, Jim Montgomery, the morning of the game said it's not one of 82. They sent us home. Our summer was miserable. We owe them one. And, yeah, this means more. I thought it was great for the juice for the game. Mm-hmm. And then the Bruins came out flat, and the Panthers took it to them. Now, they found their game, and it's unfortunate the Panthers just couldn't score on the power play because that game's 2-2. They end up losing it in overtime. But they certainly had many opportunities to win it. Even without Aaron Ekblad, even without Brandon Montour. Unfortunately, Bennett came back, made his season debut, got hurt again. So even without those guys, you know, the fact that they're right there with the Bruins and they get a point, they lose in overtime, and Bobrovsky was really solid in the game. To me, it's encouraging, but I liked what they said after the game. I look at the Panthers now like the Dolphins. It's no longer a team in a franchise. It's kind of hoping to sneak into the playoffs. Maybe we can make it. These two teams, Panthers and Dolphins now, they're upset when a game gets away like that because they're thinking championship. That's where the bar should be. That's the mentality they have now.
Goldie, I got to tell you something. Sam Bennett wasn't the only one hurt this week by something that happened on the ice. You know, Bokamper and I were supposed to go in on season tickets together, and then he tells me, you know what? They sold out the lower bowl. I don't do upper deck, so we're just not going to do it.
Look, hold on.
No.
I said,
you bailed on me.
I said I'll sit in upper decks. Cunha, oh no.
No.
I get nosebleeds.
That is not
I get
what
nosebleeds
happened.
once I get past the 100 section.
That was not what happened. Bo, you know, I'm going to these games. I'm sitting by myself. I'm looking around. There's no Bokamper next to me. We're supposed to be sitting there side by side, looking up at Goldie.
Let me give you guys.
I got to ask Goldie a serious hockey question. Now, you guys, you're taking me. So Goldie, we got another year with Tkachuk here, right? And I would think that this team with the offseason and everything that he's done with him it's going to be they're going to be a better base team this year than they were last year just because the experience with him and guys playing with him and having him going at peak from the start of the season to the end of the season. Tell me I'm wrong.
No, I think you're 100% right, and that's why when Bennett comes back and then he gets hurt again in the same game, it's so disappointing because the team just isn't complete. You know, Sam Bennett, is such a big factor. I think he's the most underrated player on this team, and he plays with Kachuk. He's his centerman, so Bennett's always driving, and he's tough, and he bangs around.
Yeah.
So that hurts Kachuk not having him. But, certainly what Kachuk did last year, elevating the franchise, the juice this team has. Look, they're keeping their head above water. They're shorthanded early in the year. They're going to get whole, hopefully, eventually. And once they do that and get the chemistry, yes, the expectations are high. Now, look, it's really tough in that league to make it back to the Stanley Cup final, but 100%, Bo, you're right on Kachuk. And let me just say this to both of you, Bo Camper and Cunio, if you guys weren't bandwagon jumpers and you didn't try to buy the tickets after they go to the Stanley Cup final, if you bought them 2 or 3 years ago, you would have been right down there on the blue line. Let me just tell you
We're
that.
not bandwagon. We're just procrastinators.
You're jumping the gun on me, Goldie. You're jumping the gun on me, Goldie. Because when they get in the playoffs again, I'll be buying tickets, baby.
Now I have to watch it at Bo Camper's, not the restaurant. I'm going to Bo Camper's house.
There you go.
So I'm going to sit on this couch. All right, Goldie, Bo, we got to go. We got what's trending
That's
next.
$15 a night.
Yeah. I think you guys are going to like what we got next. We're talking Halloween costumes next on Game Changers when we come back. Welcome back to Game Changers. Let's get to some of the Halloween costumes we've seen this week. Bo Camper out in Frankfurt, Germany. Steve Goldstein in the dungeon somewhere under some ice rink. We don't know where he's at. But did you guys see this kid dress up as Mike McDaniel? It's kind of going viral all over the internet. Bo, I'll start with you. What did you think of the Mike McDaniel lookalike and the
Awesome.
run?
It was awesome. It was absolutely perfect. He had the pants hiked up a little bit, right? He had the tail of his T-shirt sticking out below the bottom of the sweatsuit. He had the headset turned back to make sure he was getting the run across the field. It was absolute fantastic. I went to a costume party a few days ago. I dressed up as a gondola guy. It was a really nice costume, but no pictures. So,
We're gonna have to do some journalism and find that photo.
Hey, you keep making comments like this on this show, Bo, you're going to be the gondola guy. You're not going to be doing this anymore. You're going to be that guy for real.
I'm all for that. I'm all for sailing Bo away somewhere very far. Goldie, what do you think of the costume? You like it? I'm surprised you didn't dress up as McDaniel for Halloween.
I tried to a few times during training camp. I remember I had the little plate chart in front of me when we were doing some of our work. First off, I think it's awesome. Second of all, it's the only time I've seen Mike McDaniel speechless. And third of all, it's the second best costume because I thought Tua should have dressed up with a Patriots hoodie on that I could go out and get here in Boston, dress up as Bill Belichick because he owns Bill Belichick. He's 6-0 against him now.
Don't get him started. Don't get him started. Go ahead, Bo. Go ahead, Bo. We can't go a week without mentioning Bill. Go for it.
Look,
That's right.
Look, I'm not gonna mention Bill Belichick. I'm done talking about cheaters and people that take advantage of other people and don't have any sense of humor and that are tasteless. I'm not talking about that anymore.
Good. I'm glad that's behind you, Bo. The Dolphins got 2 wins against him. You don't have to see him anymore this season.
I'm a better man for it.
That you are.
I'm a better man for it. That's right.
I guess. Let me tell you what. You guys are better men than I am for joining us on the road, especially you, Bo, because I don't know how much sleep you've gotten. I don't know what time it is. I don't know where you are, quite frankly. You look like you're on the street corner somewhere.
I got my I got my cameraman Lewis with me, and today I've asked him 35 times, what time is it back home? When's our show? When's our shoot?
There's a way you can do that.
Lewis gets the hero award for the week. How's that?
And you just Google it on your phone. That's all you need, Bo. That's not that hard.
Why should I Google it in my phone when I got Lewis?
All right, well, you got to take
He's
Lewis
a human Googler.
Yeah, he's a human Google machine. All right, guys, thanks so much for joining us. This was a lot of fun. If you ask me, I think I like you guys on the road better than here. Oh, they disappeared. Even better. I have the whole place to myself. That'll do it for this week's Game Changers. We'll see you next time.